She heard everything, every word, every laugh, and they had no idea she was standing right there. She didn't react, didn't confront them, didn't give them the satisfaction. She just walked away, and that decision changed everything. Because some betrayals don't break you, they turn you into someone people will regret underestimating. Welcome to Tales by Laju. I want you to listen to this one, because what happened in this story, it's not what you're waiting for. It is not loud, it's not dramatic like what most people expect, but it will stick with you. It is about a woman who heard something she was never meant to hear and what she did afterwards. Follow it with me. The worst part was not when Raymond left her. The worst part was hearing him laugh with Amber in the next room while she stood in the kitchen, still wearing the apron she had used to help serve his family's guests, and realizing both of them had been lying to her for a long time. She didn't raise her voice, didn't fall apart. She just stood there with one hand on the marble counter, staring at the dark window above the sink, and felt something inside her go cold. That was the night Zara learned that heartbreak does not always come with noise. Sometimes it comes quietly, like a door closing behind you. Before people started saying her name with respect, before the interviews, the polished office, the headlines, and the life everyone suddenly acted impressed by, Zara had been the woman people overlooked. She was the one who fixed things, the one who stayed calm, the one who made everything run smoothly while louder people took the credit. Raymond Whitmore came from money, real money, the kind that bought houses people only saw in movies, the kind that turned average men into important men before they had done anything important. His family had old real estate wealth, private clubs, vacation homes, and the kind of connections that made doors open before they even knocked. When Zara met him, he seemed different from the rest of them. He was charming, polished, and careful with his words. He noticed details. He listened when she spoke. He told her she was smart, focused, and grounded. He said he admired that she had built her life with her own hands. At the time, Zara was running a small luxury event business in New York. She was not rich, but she was disciplined. She worked long hours, planned private dinners, managed intimate weddings, and organized upscale events for clients who wanted everything perfect without lifting a finger. She knew how to solve problems without making a scene. She knew how to make rich people feel secure. She knew how to disappear behind good work. Raymond loved that about her at first, or maybe he loved how useful it made her. He would watch her working and say things like, "One day you're going to build something huge." Then he would smile and kiss her forehead like he was proud to be standing next to her. Zara believed him. She also believed Amber. Amber had been her best friend for years. She was beautiful in the kind of way that made people stop speaking for a second when she entered the room. She loved expensive clothes, attention, and being admired, and she wore confidence like perfume. They were very different, but somehow it had always worked. Or at least Zara thought it had. When she introduced Amber to Raymond, Amber hugged her afterward and whispered, "Finally, a man who looks like he belongs in your future." Zara laughed and thought she meant it kindly. That was her mistake. The warning signs had always been there, but betrayal is easy to miss when it happens close to you. A look that lasts too long, a joke that sounds harmless until later, conversations that stop when you walk in, small moments that feel strange, then disappear before you can hold them. Zara ignored all of it. She trusted her boyfriend, she trusted her best friend, and she kept showing up. She helped Raymond's family more times than she could count. She fixed seating disasters at dinner parties, calmed staff during events, rearranged menus, solved guest list problems, and made herself useful in ways nobody asked for, but everybody accepted. His mother, Celeste, never fully respected her, but she respected what Zara could do. In families like theirs, that was enough to keep her close. The night everything broke was at the Whitmore's end-of-summer dinner in the Hamptons. The house was full of rich guests, white flowers, soft jazz, and expensive smiles. Zara had spent half the evening solving problems behind the scenes because the hired planner was overwhelmed and Celeste was close to losing her temper. Amber arrived late, wearing a silver dress that made people stare. Raymond looked at her too long. Zara noticed it, and she ignored it. Later, Celeste asked Zara to check on dessert in the back kitchen. She was walking down the hallway when she heard voices in the private lounge. Raymond's voice, Amber's laugh. Zara was about to walk in when she heard her name. Amber said, "You should have left her a long time ago." Raymond laughed softly. Zara is useful. That's the problem. Her whole body went still. Amber said, "Useful is not exciting." Then Raymond replied in the calmest voice, "She's too plain, too serious, and too poor for the life I want." They both laughed. Amber still bothered. It was not the cheating, not even the betrayal. It was the laughter, the ease of it, the way they made her sound small while she was still helping hold their world together. Zara stepped back before they could see her. In the kitchen, the pastry chef asked if dessert should go out. She said yes. Then she untied her apron, folded it neatly, placed it on the counter, picked up her bag, and walked out through the staff entrance without saying goodbye. She did not confront them. She did not make a scene. She just left. When Zara stepped out into the cool night air, the house behind her was still glowing with music and laughter. Inside, everything continued as if nothing had happened. Until it didn't. A few minutes later, one of the staff walked into the kitchen holding the neatly folded apron Zara had left behind. "Where's Zara?" she asked. No one answered. Upstairs, Celeste noticed the delay in service. Dessert had gone out, but something felt off. Too quiet, too uncoordinated. Zara was the one who kept everything moving. And suddenly she was gone. Raymond checked his phone. No messages, no explanation. That was when something shifted. Amber was the first to say it, her voice quieter now. "Do you think she heard us?" Raymond didn't answer immediately, but he remembered the hallway, the way their conversation had stretched longer than it should have. The fact that Zara had been sent toward the kitchen, right past the lounge, and then nothing. No interruption, no confrontation, just silence. The kind of silence that only comes when someone has already decided something is over. Raymond called her. When her phone started ringing, she already knew one thing for certain. The woman who walked into that house was not the same woman living it. The next morning, Zara woke up with that strange, heavy feeling heartbreak leaves behind. For 1 second, she forgot. Then everything came back at once. The kitchen, the laughter, Amber's voice, Raymond calling her useful, plain, and poor, like she was something embarrassing he had outgrown. She sat on the edge of her bed and stared at the floor for a long time. Her apartment was quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes pain louder. Her phone kept buzzing on the nightstand, but she did not touch it. She already knew who it was. Raymond, Amber, maybe even his mother. People always want to talk after they have already said the thing that matters most. When she finally looked, Raymond had called 14 times. Amber had sent 3 messages. "Please answer. It's not what you think. Can we talk?" Zara blocked them both. Then she cried. Not soft tears, not pretty tears, the kind that leave your chest hurting, your face swollen, and your whole body feeling weak. She cried because she had been betrayed by the 2 people she trusted most. She cried because she had been made to feel small in a room where she had been given everything. But most of all, she cried because deep down, part of her knew she had ignored too many signs. When she was done, she washed her face, tied her hair back, opened her laptop, and checked her business account. That was how Zara survived pain. She counted what was still hers. Her business was steady, but not where it should have been. She had talent, experience, and a good reputation, but she had spent too much time helping other people shine. She had always been the woman behind the event, behind the image, behind the smooth finish, never the woman being fully seen. That day, Zara made a decision. She would never again build comfort for people who thought she was beneath them. If heartbreak wanted to break her, it was going to have to work harder than that. So she got to work. She spent the weekend rebuilding her company from the inside out. She changed her website. She raised her prices. She cut the services that drained her time and made her feel small. She stopped calling herself an event planner and started positioning herself as a luxury experience strategist and hospitality consultant. It was the same skill, but a different level, a different room, a different kind of respect. Then she emailed past clients who had valued her work and told them her business was entering a new chapter. By Monday evening, one replied. By Tuesday, two more did. By the end of the week, she had a meeting with a boutique hotel group that wanted help rebranding 3 properties. Pain had made her sharp, and sharp women are dangerous when they stop apologizing. Raymond came to her apartment building 4 days later. Her doorman called upstairs and asked if she wanted him sent up. No, Zara said. A minute later, her phone lit up with an unknown number. Zara, please, just 5 minutes. She stared at the message and felt nothing soft. Then another one came. I can explain. She deleted both. There are some things explanations only make dirtier. A week later, Zara saw photos of Raymond and Amber online. They were at a rooftop dinner in Soho, dressed beautifully, smiling like they had done nothing wrong. Like they had not built whatever they were building on top of her humiliation. She looked at the photos for less than a minute before closing the app. She refused to become the woman who sits in pain and watches other people enjoy the damage they caused. The hotel deal came through the next week. It was her biggest contract yet. She took the meeting, prepared twice as hard as everybody else in the room, and won it without asking for mercy or sympathy. For the first time since the breakup, she felt something stronger than sadness. Direction. That was the real turning point. Not because the pain disappeared, it didn't, but because she finally understood that her heartbreak could become fuel if she stopped treating it like a wound and started treating it like fire. Raymond thought he had left behind a plain woman with a small life. Amber thought she had won something valuable by taking what belonged to Zara. Neither of them understood the truth. They had not destroyed her. They had removed the last distraction standing between her and the life she was supposed to build. And once Zara saw that clearly, she never looked back. Success did not arrive all at once for Zara. It came slowly, through long days, early mornings, and quiet nights where she worked while the rest of the city slept. There was no single moment where everything suddenly changed. Just small wins, one after another, stacking until they became something solid. The hotel contract became her turning point. She treated it like everything depended on it, because it did. She redesigned the guest experience, fixed broken systems, retrained staff, and created a standard that felt effortless but was carefully built behind the scenes. She paid attention to details most people ignored: the way guests were greeted, the timing of service, the feeling people carried when they left. By the end of the project, the owners trusted her. More importantly, they respected her, and that respect opened doors. One client led to another, one referral turned into 3. Zara's name started moving in rooms she had never been invited into before, not as someone working quietly in the background, but as someone being asked for strategy, decisions, and direction. She changed her structure, registered a proper company under her name, hired an assistant, then another. She stopped saying yes to everything. She stopped lowering her prices just to keep people comfortable. And slowly, She stopped seeing herself the way they had seen her. Small, replaceable, useful. That word used to sit in her mind like an insult. Now she redefined it. She was useful, useful enough to build something real, useful enough to turn vision into structure, useful enough to create value people were willing to pay for. The difference was, she was no longer giving that value away for free. Around that time, she started hearing things about Raymond and Amber. Not directly. News travels in certain circles whether you ask for it or not. At first, it sounded like they were doing well, attending events, posting pictures, showing up in all the right places. From the outside, they looked perfect. The kind of couple people admire without asking questions. But perfection does not last when it is built on the wrong foundation. A mutual contact mentioned Raymond had been arguing more. Another said Amber was trying to change everything about him, his routine, his style, his circle, even the way he spoke in public. Then someone else said he had started drinking more than usual. Zara listened, but she did not react. The story was no longer hers. Her focus was her work. Months passed. Her company grew stronger. She moved into a real office in Manhattan. Large windows, clean lines, a space that finally felt like hers. Not borrowed, not shared, not temporary. Hers. One evening after everyone had left, she stood alone in that office, looking around at the empty desks, the soft lighting, the quiet energy of something built with intention. For the first time, she felt proud of herself without needing anyone else to confirm it. That feeling was rare, and once you experience it, you protect it. Then one night, after a long dinner meeting, she saw Raymond again. He was standing in the lobby of a hotel she had just left. For a second, her body reacted before her mind did. Familiarity is dangerous like that. It can make you pause when you should keep moving. Zara, he said, stepping closer. Her expression stayed calm. Raymond, he looked different. Still polished, still well-dressed. But something was off. The confidence was thinner. The ease was gone. Can we talk? He asked. There was a time she would have said yes immediately. That time was over. 5 minutes, she said. They sat across from each other in a quiet lounge. He looked at her for a moment, then shook his head slightly. You've changed. Yes, she said. I have. He took a breath. I owe you an apology. She waited. I handled everything badly. He continued. You didn't deserve that. That's true, Zara replied. He hesitated, like he expected her to make it easier for him. She didn't. Amber and I, he started. Zara raised her hand slightly. I don't need details. He paused, then nodded. I made a mistake, he said. She looked at him carefully. Yes, she said. You did. Silence settled between them. Then he leaned forward slightly. I miss you. The words were simple, but they meant nothing. You don't miss me, Zara said calmly. You miss what I gave you. He frowned. That's not fair. It's accurate. He looked at her like he was searching for the version of her he used to know. She wasn't there anymore. I thought I knew what I wanted, he said quietly. I was wrong. Zara stood up. That's something you have to live with, she said. Zara, She picked up her bag. You don't get to come back just because you realized too late. He looked shaken now. Good. Because for the first time, he was facing the truth without her softening it. Zara turned and walked away. No hesitation, no looking back. And as she stepped out into the city night, she understood something clearly. She was no longer the woman waiting to be chosen. She was the woman building a life no one could walk in and out of whenever they pleased. By the time summer came again, Zara's life looked completely different. Her business was no longer small or quiet. They were handling high-level projects, working with serious clients, and building a reputation that moved ahead of her before she even entered the room. She had a team she trusted, systems that worked, and a schedule that barely left space to think about anything outside of growth. Then the email came. Forbes. Zara read it once. Then again, just to be sure she wasn't imagining it. They wanted to feature her in a piece about women building influence in industries long controlled by powerful networks. They had followed her work, spoken to people she had worked with, and now they wanted her story. For a moment, she just sat there, not because she was shocked, but because she remembered exactly where she had been the night everything broke. Standing in a kitchen, wearing an apron, listening to people laugh at her. Life has a strange way of circling back. The interview process took weeks. Questions about her background, her strategy, her growth, how she had managed to reposition herself so quickly. Zara answered everything honestly, but she did not talk about heartbreak. She did not talk about betrayal. She talked about work. That was what mattered. When the article finally came out, everything shifted again. Her phone didn't stop ringing. Messages from old contacts, new clients, people she hadn't heard from in years, invitations, congratulations, opportunities. People who had never noticed her before suddenly spoke like they had always believed in her. Zara led them. Success changes how people remember you. 2 days later, she attended a charity gala, not as someone helping behind the scenes, but as both a donor and a speaker. The room was full of money and influence, the kind of space where people measure each other without speaking. Zara wore a simple black gown, nothing loud, nothing desperate for attention. She didn't need it anymore. Halfway through the evening, she saw them, Raymond, Amber, together. Amber noticed her first. Her smile dropped slightly, then returned, controlled. Raymond followed her gaze. For a moment, he looked frozen. Zara didn't move. She wasn't going to adjust herself for them. Eventually, they ended up standing near each other, close enough to speak, far enough to pretend they didn't have to. Amber spoke first. Congratulations on the article. Thank you, Zara said. Amber's smile tightened. You've done well for yourself. I've worked, Zara replied. That landed harder than expected. Raymond nodded slightly. You deserve it. Zara glanced at him briefly, then back at Amber. You look upset, she said calmly. Amber's eyes flashed. I'm not. You are,
Hello,
Zara
it's great
said.
to see you here
You're
tonight.
just trying to hide it. Raymond shifted slightly. This isn't the place. Amber ignored him. You think you're better than everyone now. Zara shook her head. No, just harder to use. Silence, sharp, uncomfortable, real. Amber let out a soft laugh, but there was no humor in it. You always had this quiet arrogance. Zara met her gaze. No, I had boundaries. You just didn't respect them. For a moment, Amber's mask slipped. You got what you wanted, she said. Zara held her eyes. No, I built what I wanted. That was the difference. Amber knew it. Raymond looked between them, uneasy. Amber, let's not do this. But it was already happening. Amber stepped closer. Do you really think you won? Zara didn't hesitate. I stopped competing. Amber went still, because that was the truth she couldn't argue with. This had never been a competition to Zara. Not about a man, not about attention, not about proving anything. It had always been about building a life no one could take from her. Amber stepped back slowly, her confidence slipping just enough to be seen. Raymond looked at Zara again, like he wanted to say something else, something softer, something private. Zara didn't give him the chance. Her name was being called. She turned away from both of them and walked toward the stage. As she stepped into the light, she felt something settle inside her. Not anger, not pride, just certainty. They had once stood in a room and laughed at her. Now she was standing in a room where people listened when she spoke. And that difference had nothing to do with them. It had everything to do with her. After the gala, everything moved faster. The Forbes article opened doors Zara didn't even know existed. Bigger clients, bigger deals, conversations with investors instead of just customers. People stopped seeing her as someone who delivered services and started seeing her as someone who built systems that changed everything. She expanded carefully, no rushing, no chasing attention, just smart, deliberate moves. She brought in senior staff, strengthened operations, shifted her focus from short-term wins to long-term projects. Her income grew, but more importantly, her position changed. She was no longer just earning, she was building power. And with that came something she had never fully had before: peace. Not the kind that comes from everything going well, but the kind that comes from knowing she could handle it when it didn't. She bought a townhouse in Brooklyn. Nothing flashy, but solid, high ceilings, quiet street, a space that felt like hers the moment she walked in. She stood in the empty living room after signing the papers, just looking around, breathing, no noise, no pressure, no one to impress, just her. Raymond still tried, not loudly, not dramatically. He didn't show up shouting or begging. It was quieter than that. A message passed through someone they both knew, a gift sent to her office and turned away, a short note asking for one honest conversation. Zara said no every time, not because she was angry, because she was done. There is a difference. Amber, on the other hand, began to fall apart in ways people could see. At first, it was subtle, tension in public, sharp comments at events, people noticing that she and Raymond no longer looked as perfect as before. Then came the bigger rumors, arguments, breaks, reconciliations that didn't last. Zara didn't follow it. She didn't need to. When your life is full, other people's chaos becomes background noise. Then one evening, as she was leaving her office, she saw him, Raymond, standing outside in the rain. No message, no warning, just there. For a moment, she considered walking past him, but she stopped. "What do you want?" she asked. He looked tired, not the kind of tired sleep fixes, the kind that comes from realizing too late. "To talk," he said. "You've said that before. I mean it this time." Zara crossed her arms. "Say what you need to say." Rain hit the pavement around them. Cars passed. People walked by without noticing. "I was wrong," he said. "About everything." She waited. "I thought I wanted something exciting, something different. I didn't understand what I had." Zara held his gaze. "No, you didn't." He swallowed. "I thought you would always be there." That was the first honest thing he said. Zara stepped closer, not soft, not harsh, just clear. "Exactly," she said. "You didn't think I had a limit." His shoulders dropped. "I do now," he said quietly. "That's good," she replied. "But it doesn't change anything." He looked at her, waiting for something to shift. Nothing did. "I can be better," he said. "Maybe," Zara replied, "but not for me." That hit him harder than anything else. "I miss you," he said. Zara shook her head slightly. "You miss what I gave you." "That's not fair." "It's true." He looked down, then back up. "Please." Zara gave him the truth, because anything else would have been a lie. "You didn't just leave," she said. "You made me small so you could feel better about it. You called me plain. You called me poor. You laughed with her while I was still standing in your life trying to build something real." He closed his eyes. She continued, "You don't come back from that." Silence, heavy, final. "I know," he said. Zara nodded once. "Good." Her car pulled up beside them. She opened the door, then paused for a moment. "I hope one day you understand what you lost before you lose it," she said. Then she got in. As the car pulled away, she didn't look back, not because it still hurt, but because it didn't matter anymore. That was the real ending. Not when he left, not when she cried, but when she realized she had already moved on long before he tried to come back. People think the biggest win is being seen. It isn't. The real win is no longer needing anyone to see you to know your worth. 2 years after the night Zara walked out of that house in the Hamptons, her life had completely changed. Her business was strong. Her name carried weight. Her work spoke before she even entered the room. But more than all of that, she had something she didn't have before. Peace. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone staying. That summer, Zara hosted a private retreat in Napa. Clients, founders, investors. It was something she had built from scratch. Every detail, every experience, every moment carefully designed. Not to impress, but to create something meaningful. On the first day, she stood in front of the room and spoke. No nerves, no hesitation, just clarity. After the session ended, one of her team members approached her with a strange look. "There's someone here asking for you," she said. "Who?" Zara asked. The hesitation said everything. Amber. For a moment, Zara thought she had heard wrong. Then she saw her, standing outside on the terrace, alone. No crowd, no attention, no performance, just Amber. Zara stepped outside. The air was warm. The vineyard stretched quietly behind her. Amber turned at the sound of her footsteps and removed her sunglasses. She looked the same, but also not. "What are you doing here?" Zara asked. Amber gave a small, tired smile. Still direct, Zara said nothing. Amber glanced around briefly, then looked back at her. "You built all this?" "Yes," Zara replied. Amber nodded slowly. "I've seen it. The articles, the interviews, everything." Zara didn't respond. Then Amber took a breath. "Raymond and I are over." Zara's expression didn't change. "He cheated," Amber added. More than once, Zara stayed quiet. Some outcomes explained themselves. Amber let out a short, dry "I guess there's a lesson in that. There's a pattern in that," Zara said calmly. Amber looked at her, surprised, then nodded. "You're right." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Amber spoke again, softer this time. "I didn't come here to ask for anything." "Then why are you here?" Zara asked. Amber met her eyes. "To say I'm sorry." The words lingered. "I'm sorry for what I did to you," she continued. "For betraying you, for laughing at you, for thinking I had won something when I took him." Zara watched her carefully. There was no performance, no charm, no mask, just honesty. "I hated you for a long time," Amber admitted. "I hated how steady you were, how people trusted you, how you didn't need attention the way I did." Zara listened, because for the first time, Amber wasn't hiding. "When Raymond chose me," she said, "it felt like proof that I was better, that I could take something stable and make it mine." She shook her head slightly. "Now I see how wrong that was." Zara let her finish. Then she asked one question. "And now?" Amber swallowed. "Now I understand what I destroyed." That was the truth. Not just Zara's relationship, but her own respect, her own peace, her own sense of value. "I'm not asking to fix anything," Amber said quickly. "I know that's gone. I just needed to say it." Zara believed her. That surprised her. "I accept your apology," Zara said. Amber's eyes filled immediately. She nodded, like she hadn't expected that. "But we are not rebuilding anything," Zara added. "I know," Amber said quietly. "And I didn't lose to you," Zara continued. "I know that too." They stood there for a moment longer. Then Amber put her sunglasses back on. "You built something real," she said. Zara looked past her, at the retreat, at the people inside, at the life she had created. Then she replied calmly, "I built myself." Amber gave a small nod, then turned and walked away. Zara watched her leave for only a second before going back inside. Her team was waiting. Her clients were returning. Her name was about to be called again. As she stepped forward, something settled inside her. Not pride, not relief, just certainty. Raymond had once called her plain. Amber had once called her poor. They had laughed while she stood there giving everything. Now, she was standing in a room she built, speaking in a voice she owned, living a life that didn't need either of them. And that was the truth they would have to live with. What once broke her was never the end. It was the beginning. And that is how everything changed, without a single word. Sometimes the strongest move isn't reacting. Just walk away and build something even better. If this story meant something to you, hit the like button and subscribe to Tales by Laju so you never miss another story like this. And tell me in the comment section, would you have stayed or walked away? I'll see you in the next story.